Arias trial, a capital murder trial unlike any we have seen in years. For nearly 2 weeks now, people have been watching her on the stand, watching, safe to say, with slack-jawed amazement at the courtroom drama and the explicit testimony. We now know the things that she and her boyfriend did right up to the moment that she shot, stabbed, and slashed him to death. What no one knows, what the jury will decide, is this: just who is this woman? Is she a murderer? Tonight, you can watch the testimony and decide for yourself. Reporting tonight for us is 360's Randy Kay. Randy?
Thanks, Anderson. Jodi Arias, cold-blooded killer or long-suffering victim? We've been mesmerized by the twists and turns of this tragic tale of fatal attraction. Tonight, a killer, in her own words, as Jodi Arias fights to avoid paying the ultimate price. We have to warn you, the testimony is graphic, both the images and the language, and may be too explicit for younger viewers.
A new and glorious morn, fall on your knees.
Jodi Arias has sung a lot of different tunes since this picture of bliss turned into a bloodbath.
Oh, night divine, oh.
It's a grisly tale of passion gone wrong, of sex, lies,
I'm not guilty.
and a life brutally cut short.
This is a case, this is a story, this is a criminal defendant unlike any other we've ever met before. Jodi Arias, beautiful young woman, accused of brutally murdering her ex-boyfriend, Travis Alexander. As a matter of fact, the day that she admittedly killed him, they had sex, they took pictures, but then she stabs him 29 times, almost decapitates him, shoots him in the head, and she says it's self-defense. But the prosecutor has a whole different theory here, that it was premeditated, cold-blooded murder because she was obsessed with Travis Alexander.
The end for Jodi and Travis was foul and heinous, but their courtship actually began quite innocently, in, of all places, Sin City.
We were there for a convention. Our company had a big event there. I was there in Las Vegas with them.
Travis Alexander was a motivational speaker and close friend and co-worker of David Hughes in the fall of 2006.
And I knew that he was single, and he was always looking for Miss Alexander. And
Enter saleswoman and aspiring photographer, Jodi Arias.
And I told Travis, hey, there's this cute girl that I work with, you should meet her. And he goes, introduce me. And so I introduced them, and then they were able to develop a relationship pretty quickly from there.
They met in Vegas. The night they met, it seemed that things heated up very quickly because Jodi Arias has said within a week or so, they're having sex in the car.
Jodi and Travis had an instant physical connection, a whirlwind romance, but a long-distance one with her in Palm Desert, California, and him 5 hours away in Mesa, Arizona. Still, that wouldn't slow them down. Shanna Hogan is the author of Picture Perfect, about the Jodi Arias case.
From the very beginning, Travis and Jodi were almost in constant communication. They talked every day. They exchanged thousands of emails and text messages.
Jodi was so attracted to Travis that she converted to the Church of Latter-day Saints because Travis was a Mormon.
She started to inquire more about the LDS faith and ended up joining the church, which I'm sure that brought their relationship, made it even stronger.
To outsiders, Travis and Jodi appeared devout, a pure Mormon couple. But appearances, as was often the case with these two, would prove deceiving.
Secretly behind the scenes, Travis and Jodi's relationship was not pure. It wasn't chaste. They had this intense sexual relationship that they kept hidden from everyone.
But Jodi couldn't keep everything hidden, especially from Travis's longtime friends, many of whom found his new love a bit odd and a bit troubling.
We don't like Jodi coming over to our home. We feel very uncomfortable with her in our home.
David Hughes recalls a chilling encounter between his brother, his sister-in-law, and Jodi Arias.
Well, they're having this conversation, trying to convince Travis to break up with her. She is right outside the upstairs door, listening to the whole conversation. And she walked in and she just had this face on like she was the devil and she was going to commit a murder right then and there.
It was clear that she liked him a lot more than he liked her. Travis wanted a normal life. Jodi wanted to be with him more than anything, and it was an extremely unhealthy bond that they shared.
And a normal, healthy life was something Travis had wanted desperately since growing up in Riverside, California.
Travis's childhood was full of poverty, neglect, physical violence.
His parents were both addicted to drugs, and so he wasn't raised by his parents. He was eventually, his grandmother is the one that raised him. But yeah, it was a tough upbringing.
Jodi, too, has said she didn't have it easy growing up, that she was no stranger to abuse.
She grew up being very artistic. She played the flute. She had a lot of brothers and sisters and was very close with them all. So Jodi's childhood was fairly ideal compared to Travis's, but she does describe like incidences of physical violence.
Though they'd only known each other less than a year, Jodi and Travis had burned red hot, at least for a while. By the summer of 2007, however, their relationship had cooled, in part because of Jodi's increasing jealousy over Travis's interests in other women.
Jodi went through his phone and discovered these flirty messages to other women, and she decided to end the relationship at that point. But at the same time, Travis was looking to end the relationship.
Jodi and Travis did break up, but that didn't mean they weren't still friends with benefits.
Clearly, Jodi enjoyed her sexual life with Travis, but it must have been tormenting. In her diary, Jodi writes about how she loves Travis so fully and completely that she doesn't know any other way to be. He was just her entire focus, and she was extremely obsessed with him.
So obsessed, apparently, that Jodi never took her eye off of Travis, no matter how far apart they were.
I absolutely know that she was stalking him many times, just like when she went in through the back door when he was, you know, kissing another girl on his couch. I mean, she's spying on him. That's what's really happening there.
She slashed his tires. She broke into his email account. She hacked into his Facebook page. She broke into his house and stole his journals. She read his diary. She just did these crazy stalking behaviors.
Jodi has long denied stalking Travis, but there is no denying that their troubled relationship came to an abrupt end on June 4th, 2008, when Jodi made her last visit to her estranged lover's home in the wee hours of the morning.
Travis is there, according to her, and he's online, and they go to sleep. But when they wake up, then they get back to what Travis and Jodi always do, which is engage in sex. And they didn't just engage in sex. They brought cameras into play. Travis taking pictures of Jodi, Jodi taking pictures of Travis, neither one of them wearing any clothes. But it's what they do. It's what they've always done since they met.
Coming up, a sex-fueled afternoon explodes into an orgy of violence. Monday, June 9th, 2008, 90 minutes until midnight in a Mesa, Arizona community called Mountain Ranch. Nobody has heard from Travis Alexander in 5 days.
These friends meet at the house to try and determine Travis's whereabouts. Through another friend, they get the code to the garage. They go inside the house. It smells. There's a foul odor hanging in the air. Travis's roommate and his friend go inside the bedroom.
Oh my God. 911 emergency? A friend of ours is dead in his bedroom. We hadn't heard from him for a while. His roommate just went in there and said there's lots of blood.
There's one light shining out in that room, and it's coming from the master bathroom, and they see this horrific sight, this dead body, and they see that it's Travis. His body was pale, his face was marbled by discoloration, and it was clear that he was dead and that Travis had been dead for quite some time.
He's dead.
Okay.
in the shower.
There is a massive amount of blood in Travis Alexander's master suite, soaked into the bedroom carpet and splattered all over the bathroom, the sink, the mirror, the floor.
Has he been threatened by anyone recently?
Yes, he has. He has an ex-girlfriend that's been bothering him, and
and following him and slashing tires and things like that. Her name is Jodi.
As soon as we knew that Travis was murdered, we immediately knew it was Jodi. There was no questions in our minds.
Hours later, Jodi speaks with lead detective Esteban Flores on the telephone, and she does something that would become common in this case. She lies.
That was around April that you last saw him, right?
Early April.
You haven't been back in town since then?
No, I haven't at all.
This is the first version of her story. She claims she is on a road trip to see a potential love interest in Utah when Travis is murdered.
The day after she had murdered Travis, she's in Salt Lake City. I see her there in the parking lot, and we're talking, and then she ends up hooking up with a guy who I work with as well, Ryan Burns, and like nothing ever happened.
But investigators are able to place Jodi at the crime scene thanks to a handprint, hair, and Travis's camera, discovered in his washing machine.
Can you imagine when the police found that camera and they said, oh, the camera's destroyed, it's been through the washing machine, but they take that little memory card and they find these photos? And Detective Flores, got the call. You're not going to believe this. What we've got.
The memory card survived the wash.
The memory card survived the wash.
Those photos lay out a timeline. At 5:30 p.m., Jodi uses the camera to take the last picture of Travis alive. He's in the shower.
She's taking pictures of him and probably said to him, oh, let me get a picture of you seated, because she needed to level the playing field. She's able to stab him in the heart.
Investigators say there is a struggle in the bathroom, and then Jodi follows Travis into his bedroom.
He falls. Maybe he's on his hands and knees. And that's when she did the coup de grace across his neck. And then turned him over and turned him around and dragged him down the hall.
This is at 5:32 p.m. It is one of 3 accidental photos taken after the last shower picture. Prosecutors will later claim it's Jodi's leg over Travis's upper body as she prepares to drag him back to the shower. Travis's body has a total of 29 stab marks, including the slash across his neck, which is 6 inches and runs from ear to ear. And there is a .25 caliber gunshot wound over his right eyebrow.
She mutilated him. I mean, that's why they're seeking death. Not just premeditation, but the aggravating factor is cruelty, mental and physical anguish. This man suffered.
Well, because
he knew he was going to die.
If he wasn't shot first and he was stabbed, it took him some time to die.
Yes, it took him some time to die. Which
speaks to the cruelty.
Which speaks to the cruelty.
A cruelty Jodi continues to cover up 3 weeks after the murder.
You never got to see the camera then or anything?
No.
That's another lie in support of Version 1, that she hadn't visited Travis since April, that she hadn't seen or used his new camera. It's the same story she repeatedly tells Detective Flores after being indicted for first-degree murder.
You were at Travis's house. You guys had a sexual encounter, which there's pictures.
Are you sure those pictures aren't from another time?
Positive. Absolutely positive.
Listen, the truth is I did not hurt Travis. Okay, so we're
Jodi,
saying...
you can continue to do this, okay? That records check shows you that you misreported a gun stolen. 25 auto. This happens to be the same caliber as the weapon used to kill him.
A 25 auto was used to kill Travis.
During that same interview, there is this. What do you make of Jodi Arias doing yoga moves in her interrogation room?
I couldn't believe it, because she is charged with first-degree murder. She's being interrogated, and she's stretching like, oh, I just need to get a little more relaxed here.
I believe it tells you that Jodi Arias is trying to get comfortable in that room. And she's not able to get comfortable because she has to change her story, because investigators have more evidence than she thought they were going to have.
She would change her story to version 2 the very next day.
She talked about 2 intruders coming into the house, and they attacked Travis, and they're attacking her, and she gets wounded in the incident, and he's being stabbed, and he's yelling, and he's screaming, and telling her, go to the neighbors and get help.
They didn't discuss much. They just argued.
About what?
About whether or not to kill me.
For what reason?
Because I'm a witness.
A witness of what?
Him. Of Travis.
Of Travis's murder.
She takes version 2 to the court of public opinion a couple months after her arrest on the nationally syndicated show Inside Edition.
I witnessed Travis being attacked by 2 other individuals.
Who?
I don't know who they were. I couldn't pick them out in a police lineup.
And then on the CBS show 48 Hours.
They just kept arguing back and forth whether or not, to kill me. And he pulled the trigger. And nothing happened with the gun. And so I just grabbed my purse, which was on the floor at that point, and I ran down the stairs and out of there.
And once she goes public with version 2, she makes this bold prediction.
No jury is going to convict me.
Why not?
Because I'm innocent, and you can mark my words on that one.
She says that before the world ever hears version 3.
She sits in jail for 1.5 years, and now she changes her story once again.
In 2010, 2 years after the murder, Jodi's lawyer files a court document indicating Jodi will finally admit to killing Travis.
She killed Travis, but it was in self-defense. That he came after her and she defended herself, and she had to kill Travis or she would have been killed.
That same year, the one where she admits stabbing Travis Alexander multiple times, there is this angelic performance.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining.
Tell me what you know about this Christmas Carol inmate idol.
She participated and won the contest. It's kind of surreal, because she purports to be, so religious and so godly, and she's singing this wonderful Christmas Carol hymn, and then I think, wow, like she almost cut this guy's head off.
Ahead, sex, lies, and all the sordid details.
Every day, thousands of people are choosing Advil.
The State of Arizona versus Jodi Arias indictment. Count 1. First-degree murder, premeditated murder.
January 2nd, a trial more than 4 years in the making finally begins.
This is not a case of whodunit. The person who done it, the person who committed this killing, sits in court today. It's the defendant, Jodi Arias.
Jodi Arias was very confident that first day.
In Sessions, Beth Karras has been in the courtroom every day of the trial. What was the forensic evidence that the prosecution said linked Jodi Arias to the crime scene?
Blood, fingerprints, palm print, and hair.
Jodi loved Travis. And so what would have forced her to have to take Travis's life on that awful day?
The defense team argued that a lifetime of physical and mental abuse by family and boyfriends had reached a tipping point for Jodi Arias.
And on June 4th of 2008, it had reached a point of no return. And sadly, Travis left Jodi no other option but to defend herself. On that horrible day, Jodi believed that Travis was going to kill her.
Can you speak to how much contact you had with Miss Arias?
The defense began with a friend of Jodi's.
Probably at the minimum of once a week, we would touch base with each other.
She was always very well spoken, a little bit timid, a little bit shy.
A former boyfriend.
I know Jodi because we were in love.
And even friends of Travis.
How did Travis treat Jodi when it was just the 4 of you?
Very well.
And what do you mean by very well? What did he do?
They just seemed
happy to be with each other, like very cuddly and very much a couple.
Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all counsel.
Then, on the trial's 14th day, a deceptively routine order from the judge.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask that you go back to the jury room for approximately 3 minutes and then return. Miss Arias, you may come forward and take a seat, please.
All of a sudden, I see Jodi Arias walking across the courtroom to the witness stand.
Minutes later, as they filed back in, an extraordinary moment for jurors, seeing, without warning, the accused gazing at them from the witness stand.
Well, jurors filed in and are used to seeing her sitting over at counsel table, and it took a second to realize she's in the witness box. She's going to be telling her story.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do. I'm not guilty. I didn't hurt Travis. I turned around. There were two people there. One was a guy and one was a girl.
After having told investigators 2 different stories of her innocence, now Jodi admitted under oath she was a killer.
Did you kill Travis Alexander on June 4th, 2008?
Yes, I did.
Why?
The simple answer is that he attacked me, and I defended myself.
Jodi testified that while Travis made her fear for her life, he wasn't the first to abuse her.
It appears their strategy was that everything that happened in her life, from her childhood and through all the relationships with men, culminated in this killing.
Your life was pretty ideal up until about age 7. Is something different after age 7, or?
I think that's the first year my dad started using a belt.
Jodi told the court that her brawny father inflicted great pain, and so did her mother.
My mom began to carry a wooden spoon in her purse. If we were misbehaving, she would use it on us.
What do you mean by use it on you?
She would hit us with it.
She hit you hard?
It felt pretty hard, yes.
She said those spankings by her mother and her father left welts and painful memories.
How did you feel when your own mother was beating you?
When I was younger, I remember feeling, I didn't have a word for it then, but I can describe it as betrayed and confused. And as I got a little bit older, it would just really make me mad because I didn't get why.
The part of her life that we learned a lot about from her testimony was her teenage years, and apparently a troubled teenager. You know, she's got some problems with her parents. You know, whose fault is it? Do we know? But the result of that is that she gets punished. And instead of being grounded for 3 months, at age 17, she decides to move out. She decides to drop out, and she decides to move in with her boyfriend.
Jodi portrayed herself as someone who made a string of bad choices when it came to men, describing one abusive relationship after another, especially Travis Alexander, admitting that she loved him despite his being what she described as demeaning, physically abusive, and controlling, even when she converted to his Mormon faith.
At the beginning of her experience in the Mormon religion, it's been a real sordid double life.
A somber Jodi recalled that the day Travis baptized her, what was supposed to be a new beginning turned out to be more of the same.
I was in my church clothes. He was in his church clothes. The kissing got more passionate, more intense, and then he spun me around. And he bent me over the bed, and he was just on top of me. I didn't think anything was, thought he was just going to keep kissing me. He began to have anal sex with me, and
after this encounter, on this spiritual day, How did you feel about yourself?
After he left, shortly after he left, I didn't feel very good. I kind of felt like a used piece of toilet paper.
For Travis's sister and other relatives, Jodi's explicit testimony was difficult to hear. Family and friends have maintained that much of it is lies, that Travis never mistreated her.
Travis was a great guy. He was very nice, very kind, very considerate. What the defense is portraying is absolutely not accurate.
Do me a favor and take a look at this exhibit and see if you recognize it.
But her attorney presented text messages from Travis, appearing to treat Jodi as his sex slave.
He says that this photo shoot is going to be one of the best experiences of your life and his. And he talks about all the pictures he's going to take of you. And he says the progressiveness of it, from the very clean to the very dirty and everything in between. He also says, you'll rejoice in being a whore. That sole purpose in life is to be mine, to have animal sex with, and to please me in any way I desire.
Secretly, they're having this life that is very sexual. I mean, it is the basis and really almost the entire part of what their relationship is about.
He wanted me to put Pop Rocks in my mouth while I gave him oral sex.
And did you do that?
Yes.
And the Tootsie Pops, what did they turn out to be needed for?
He wanted to put the Tootsie Pop inside of me.
The jurors even heard Travis's voice as he had phone sex with Jodi.
Naturally, so like the way you love it sounds like you just 12 years old girl having her first orgasm. It's so hot.
They also took very explicit nude photos, including this, the last one of Travis Alexander alive. Next, murder and a memory lapse.
And when I finally came to, I saw there was blood on my hands.
When you have diabetes, your doctor will say, get smart about your weight.